Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Battle Through the Heavens based on novel. So let's start. The location of the 5 Great Clan test was in a special hall within the inner part of Holy Pill City. This was an exclusive place where all the clan tests over the generations happened. This place had been built by the Pill Tower. From this, one could tell how greatly the Pill Tower valued this test of the 5 great clans. This kind of test was not conducted secretly. Instead, it was semi-open to outsiders. Some people with sufficient qualifications and strength would hurry over to this place before the test began. The position of the 5 great clans was always watched by a countless number of people, because everyone knew that this was a shortcut to enter the upper echelons of the Pill Tower. As long as one climbed this large tree known as the Pill Tower, one's strength and reputation would soar overnight. Currently, the Yi clan's position among the 5 great clans was precarious. If it failed to pass the test this time around, it would lose its position among the 5 great clans. Once the Yi clan lost its position, other factions, who had already been eyeing their spot, would come swarming in all at once. Hence, many factions, who wanted to get into the upper echelons of the Pill Tower, paid great attention to this 5 great clan test. Xiao Yan's group followed Yizhong to the front of an extremely grand examination venue that occupied a vast amount of land. They discovered that this place was already packed with black masses of human heads. Occasionally, there would be groups of people who appeared to have a strong background, passing through the tight defense of the hall's entrance. They would successfully enter the hall. Let's go. Yizhong looked at this enormous examination hall. His fists trembled under his sleeves. This place had etched deep memories into his mind. Each test would make him feel humiliated. Yizhong took the lead to walk to the entrance of the hall after uttering those words. Xiao Yan's group followed close behind. Yizhong's group, which had suddenly walked forward, was naturally quick to attract the attention of the crowd around. Numerous gazes immediately shot over. Private conversations erupted outside of the hall when they saw the clan badge on the chest of Yizhong's group. Quick, look. They are members from the Yi clan. If they fail again this time around, it is likely that they will fall from being one of the 5 great clans. Once they lose the protection of the Pill Tower, it is likely that the Yi clan will no longer have an easy time. That's right. Back then, the Yi clan was so grand. Only the Dan clan among the 5 great clans was able to compare with it. Unfortunately, now, luck changes over time. A bitterness surfaced in Yizhong's eyes when he heard the conversations of those around. The decline of the Yi clan was undoubtedly the greatest blow to him. He had put in everything for the return of the Yi clan. Now, he had even placed all his hope on Xiao Yan. If the Yi clan failed again, it would be finished. Yizhong's group successfully arrived at the entrance of the hall in front of many gazes. The many guards at the entrance glanced at the Yi clan's badge on the chest of Yizhong's group in an indifferent manner. There was faint ridicule in their eyes. The failure of the Yi clan during these years was a humiliation that was difficult to wash away. Although their hearts mocked the Yi clan, these guards did not dare to publicly make things difficult for them. They randomly waved their hands, moved their bodies out of the way, and allowed the group to pass. At the same time, they cried to the interior of the hall. The Yi clan has arrived. Yizhong was expressionless, appearing as though he had not sensed the disdain from the guards. He led Xiao Yan's group. They slowly entered before disappearing from the sight of the countless numbers of eyes outside. After entering the large hall, a warm light scattered down. Xiao Yan sensed that there were numerous gazes containing various emotions being shot over from the hall as the light appeared on their bodies. Xiao Yan gently lifted his eyes and swept them over the interior of the hall. At this moment, there were quite a number of human figures seated on the surrounding seats of the hall. The surprising thing was that most of these people's auras were quite strong. Clearly, they came from some factions or clans that were quite powerful. Yizhong did not bother with the various gazes coming from all directions. He was aware that most of these people were anticipating the Yi clan to fail the test, giving an extremely good spot to them. The seats right at the front belonged to the Dan, Cao, Bai, Qiu clans, the 4 great clans. Yizhong led Xiao Yan's group to the seats for the Yi clan as he softly informed them. Xiao Yan's eyes looked over after hearing this. He did indeed see 4 seats at the front of the large hall. However, there were only members from 3 clans currently sitting there. From the badges on their clothes, they should be the Dan, Bai, and Xiao clans, this person is extremely talented in regards to pill refinement. He could be considered one of the top even within the Dan clan, and he is much stronger compared to Cao Dan from the Cao clan. It is likely that the only one who can suppress him within the Cao clan is that witch. If he is participating this time around, he will definitely rank among the top 3. Xiao Yan slowly nodded while he listened to Yi Zhong's soft voice. He was about to speak, when he sensed some icy-cold eyes. Immediately, he turned his head, only to discover that these gazes were shot over from the Bai clan's seats. That old woman, who had been taught a lesson by Xiao Yang that day, was viciously staring at him from the seats of the Bai clan. Her expression made it seem as though she hated him. She seemed to feel the desire to pounce over and eat him. Xiao Yang acted as though he did not see her vicious gaze. He turned his eyes and focused on a white-clothed man at the front of the Bai clan. This man's body was covered in a faint chill. His face was cold. An icy glint flashed when he turned his eyes, causing one to be afraid of looking at him. He is the most outstanding member of the younger generation in the Bai clan, Bai Ying. The Bai clan has indeed sent him, Yi Zhong sighed upon seeing the cold, stern white-clothed man. This Bai clan really did not intend to give the Yi clan a chance to turn things around. Xiao Yang tilted his head. He exchanged looks with Bai Ying for a while. The corner of their mouths were lifted into a hostile arc that was filled with a coldness. While the few of them were conversing, they arrived at the seats of the Yi clan. After which, the few of them took their seats. Compared to the thriving groups of the others, their side appeared somewhat shabby. That Dan Xian and Bai Ying have both stepped into the level of a Tier 7 middle-grade alchemist. They will definitely be powerful opponents. The Qiu clan is still fine. Theirs is only a Tier 7 low-grade alchemist, and will not pose much of a threat. However, Yi Zhong's eyes looked to the Cao clan's seats when he spoke until this point. Currently, this clan, which was flourishing, within the Pill region had yet to arrive. Who will the Cao clan send this time around? Cao Dan? Xiao Yang appeared to be aware of Yi Zhong's concern as he softly asked. There are 3 people within the Cao clan, who are called the future pillars of the clan. Among them, the strongest is Cao Ying, the witch, while Cao Dan is the weakest. There is one person above Cao Dan called Cao Xiao. This Cao Xiao's pill refining talent cannot be compared with Cao Dan, but he wins in terms of being far calmer than Cao Dan. After becoming an adult, he left alone and headed out to train. After returning to the clan 7 years later, he had jumped to the 7th tier. Based on my guess, he should currently have reached the Tier 7 middle grade level. Cao Dan was defeated by your hands last time around. This time, the Cao clan will likely send out Cao Xiao. Yi Zhong analyzed the situation. Xiao Yang slowly nodded. This Cao clan was full of many talents. It was not without reason that it was able to possess such a reputation. At the very least, the Yi clan was much lousier when compared to them. The Cao clan has arrived. A loud, clear cry was suddenly transmitted from outside of the hall while Xiao Yang was sighing in his heart. After which, it continued to reverberate around the hall for some time. Waves of commotion sounded within the large hall when this cry appeared. Quite a number of factions, that had been sitting quietly, hurriedly stood up. Their faces were full of smiles. With the current position of the Cao clan, the clan was worthy of their bootlicking. Xiao Yang also turned his head over. His gaze landed on the entrance to the hall. The tightly shut door at that spot was slowly opened and a graceful figure walked in from the shadows with soft, slow steps. The black-clothed lady's lazy eyes slowly scanned the interior of the large hall. Anyone who was caught by her eyes would feel a fiery heat and fear rise in their hearts. This lady was really filled with temptation. However, behind this temptation was a greater bone-deep fear. The name of this lady was something that almost everyone seated in this place had heard of. The witch from the Cao clan, Cao Ying. One of the future potential successors for the giant heads of the Pill Tower. That first title might not be a resounding one, but it was sufficient to get a countless number of people to view her as a goddess high above them. A giant head of the Pill Tower. This was a position that possessed a great amount of authority across the entire continent. Anyone seated here would truly experience what kind of feeling a monstrous authority was. The Pill Tower was the holy ground in the hearts of all the alchemists on the continent. One could even unceremoniously say that the giant heads of the Pill Tower were the spiritual leaders in the hearts of a countless number of alchemists. The ability of the Pill Tower to gather people was something that did not even need mentioning. This kind of summoning ability was completely controlled by the desire of the giant heads of the Pill Tower. Cao Ying, the most outstanding genius the Cao clan had ever produced, was a personal disciple of one of the 3 giant heads of the Pill Tower. With the direction she was currently developing in, it was definitely possible for her to become a potential successor of one of the Pill Tower's giant heads a century later. Moreover, if she was lucky, she might even be able to remove the title of potential. At that time, she would be one of the few female giant heads ever since the Pill Tower had been established. The glaring glow over the head of this lady full of such great achievement was sufficient to cause everyone in the hall to look up to her. The black-clothed lady swept her eyes over the hall. She did not sweep her eyes over the others. Instead, her eyes paused on the seats of the Dan clan. Of course, her eyes did not stop on the warm and elegant Dan Xian. Instead, they were looking at the timid, young lady beside him. That young lady bunched her eyebrows together, after having appeared to have sensed Cao Ying's focus. Their eyes crossed each other before the young lady quickly moved her eyes away. An enchanting smile surfaced on Cao Ying's face when she saw her look away. Cao Ying shifted her footsteps and walked to the Cao clan's seats. The members of the Cao clan followed close behind. Xiao Yan finally saw a familiar person among this group, Cao Dan. At this moment, Cao Dan was closely following behind Cao Ying. His lowered eyes would occasionally drift to the alluring figure in front of him. There was a deeply hidden fondness within his eyes. Xiao Yang's gaze paused for a moment on Cao Dan before it turned to another strongly built man. This person had a serious face. His eyebrows were quite thick, giving him a stern feeling. He was the only male from the Cao clan who did not feel the least bit of pressure when standing behind Cao Ying. I think that person should be Cao Xiao, right? Xiao Yang slowly withdrew his eyes. These three people represented the top strength of the younger generation from the Cao clan. Of course, if it was Cao Ying, it was likely that even some of the older fellows from the Cao clan would be eclipsed by her. This which was really not someone an ordinary person could compare with. Miss Cao Ying must be joking. The champion of this season's pill gathering will definitely land in your hands. The other people don't have the qualification. Dan Xian, who was in front of Dan Chen, smiled and replied on her behalf. You really have a way with words. However, you can forget about getting me to lower my guard. Because of them, Cao Ying was non-committal in the face of Dan Xian's words. Her pretty eyes stared at Dan Chen as she softly said, but I really wish to know just how much stronger you are compared to back then after having not seen you for 2 years. That state. I wonder if you have completely stepped into it. Dan Chen no longer revealed a delicate appearance when someone mentioned something related to pill refinement. She appeared to have turned into another person. Her eyes were focused on Cao Ying as she said, I also wish to know. Cao Ying was not the least bit surprised in the face of Dan Chen's sudden transformation. Instead, she laughed and gently nodded. She waved her sleeves, turned around, and walked toward the seats of the Cao clan. Her footsteps did not even pause when she passed by the Yi clan along the way. She climbed her seat at the front and slowly sat down. Cao Ying completely ignored the Yi clan, but that Cao Dan suddenly paused his steps. He revealed a cold smile to Xiao Yang and said, It is unexpected that you have really intervened in this matter. Xiao Yang raised his eyes, smiled, and ignored Cao Dan. A chill flashed across Cao Dan's face when he saw Xiao Yang completely disregard him. He was just about to let out a cold cry when that strongly built man extended a hand to stop him. That man glanced at Xiao Yang indifferently and said, Let's move. What would it look like if you made a big fuss here? Although Cao Dan felt a little unwilling, he still nodded hearing Cao Xiao's words. After which, he let out a cold snort and walked to the seats of the Cao clan. Are you that Xiao Yang? I have heard Cao Dan mention you. That man stared at Xiao Yang before faintly speaking. Xiao Yang's eyes looked at this man with a swift and fierce body. Looking at his outer appearance, it was really difficult to tell that the other party was a high-tier alchemist. However, this person was indeed as Yizhong had described him. He appeared more mature and much calmer compared to Cao Dan. Cao Xiao, one of the 3 great geniuses of the Cao clan. You are quite well known, Xiao Yang smiled as replied. Genius is not used to describe someone like me. Cao Xiao's eyes stared at Xiao Yang. After which, he glanced at Yizhong and the others by Xiao Yang's side. He slowly said, Your level is quite high, but it is likely extremely difficult for you to rescue the Yi clan. Hopefully, you will not end up pulling yourself into a quagmire. Thank you for your honest warning. Xiao Yang smiled as he thanked Cao Xiao. Cao Xiao nodded. He was unwilling to say anything more as he turned around and walked to the seats of the Cao. This fellow is indeed not as simple as that impulsive Cao Dan, who is simple-minded. Xiao Yang looked at Cao Xiao's back, stretched his lazy waist, and softly commented. Cao Xiao's pill refining talent is not better than Cao Dan's talent. However, his achievements are greater than Cao Dan's. Yizhong nodded and sighed. This person possesses a strong perseverance. The Cao clan is indeed very lucky to possess both Cao Ying and him. Big brother, what is there for you and that fellow to talk about? You must help me take revenge this time around. As long as you can stop that brat from entering the top 3, the Yi clan will be finished. Cao Dan looked at Cao Xiao, who had sat beside him. Cao Dan spoke with dissatisfaction. Cao Xiao glanced at him. He faintly replied, he is not a simple person. I am not surprised that he can beat you. He might really end up getting into the top 3 this time around. This elder is called Xing Yao. He is one of the 8 great elders of the Pill Tower and possesses a large say within the Pill Tower. He could be described as a true upper echelon of the Pill Tower. Yizhong softly introduced him beside Xiao Yang's ear. Xiao Yang slightly nodded. He had sensed a vague pressure the moment this white-haired, old man appeared. This kind of pressure originated from deep within his soul. Therefore, he understood that this white-haired, old man was not an ordinary person. You girl, there is no need for you to lick my boots. These old bones of mine cannot endure it, the white-haired, old man grinned. After which, he swung his eyes around the arena and said, it is about time. The candidates for the 5 great clans test, please enter. The private conversations within the large hall became quiet after these words were uttered by the white-haired elder. Xiao Yang gentle inhaled a breath of air. His fists slowly tightened under his sleeves. He turned his head, only to see the anxious anticipation within the eyes of Yizhong and Xinlan. Big brother Xiao Yang, do your best. Xiao Yang smiled as he looked at Xinlan's anxious, pretty face. A pride surged out of his heart. After which, he gently stood up in front of the eyes of the entire hall. It is finally about to begin. Whether or not the big boat of the collapsing Yi clan could be saved by Xiao Yang's strength would be decided today. When Xiao Yang stood up from his seat, 4 other figures slowly stood up from the seats of the 4 other great clans. In an instant, the eyes of the people in hall gathered on the 5 of them. The candidates whom the Dan and Cao clan had sent out did not exceed Yizhong's expectations. They were Cao Xiao and Dan Xian. The Bai clan was represented by the most outstanding person among the clan's younger generation, who was the man called Bai Ying. The Qi clan's candidate was a small man. Although Xiao Yang did not know who he was, it was likely that this person was not ordinary since he was capable enough to be sent out by the Qiu clan. Elder Cheng in the arena slowly swept his eyes over the 5 people. After which, his eyes paused on Xiao Yang. This elder had been friendly with the Yi clan in the past. However, due to the decline of the Yi clan over the years, the Yi clan seldom came to Holy Pill City. Hence, their relationship had become a lot paler. Nevertheless, Elder Cheng felt some pity for the Yi clan's predicament. He had once helped put in some good words. This had enabled the Yi clan gain its final chance of survival today. The candidates representing the various clans, please step into the arena. Xiao Yang and the rest slowly walked down in front of the eyes of the entire hall upon hearing Elder Cheng's faint words. After which, they stood in the arena some distance apart while carrying some caution. Dan Xian from the Dan clan greets Elder Cheng. Dan Xian stood straight, as he cupped his hands to Elder Cheng and respectfully greeted him. Cao Xiao from the Cao clan. Bai Ying from the Bai clan. Qiu Qi from the Qiu clan. Cao Xiao and the others cupped their hands together and greeted the elder after Dan Xian did. This Elder Cheng was one of the 8 great elders of the Pill Tower. Their positions were far from what some ordinary elders could compare with. Even the 5 great clans treated him with respect. Xiao Yang, the representative from the Yi clan, greets Elder Cheng. Although such a formality was useless, it was something that still needed to be done. Xiao Yang was not some young and inexperienced person. He would naturally not act arrogant and omit this courtesy. Xiao Yang's words had just sounded when it immediately caused numerous surprised eyes to be thrown onto him. However, all those seated were well-informed people. They were vaguely aware of the relationship between Xiao Yang and the Yi clan. Hence, they did not appear too surprised. After all, this kind of test did not explicitly restrict the 5 clans from getting the help of outsiders. Ha ha, Xiao Yang he, this name is quite frequently heard recently. Elder Cheng fondled his beard and laughed. He was naturally mentioning the matter of the Ice River Valley some time earlier, which had caused a big uproar. The soul-stirring battle that had erupted within Yi City had become one of the topics that was frequently talked about across the Pill region. It was merely some minor fight. How can it catch the great eyes of Elder Cheng? Xiao Yang smiled and replied. How can it be a minor fight? You even dared to randomly attack someone from my Bai clan. Clearly, you look down on my Bai clan. Although the Ice River Valley cannot do anything to you, you should be aware that this is Holy Pill City, not that small Yi City. Bai Ying from the Bai clan, by the side coldly laughed after Xiao Yang spoke. Xiao Yang smiled in a non-committal fashion in the face of Bai Ying's cold ridicule. He did not argue with him. Instead, he crossed his 10 fingers in front of him and acted as though he did not hear Bing Ying's provocation. Our test is divided into 3 sections. This first section is soul testing. It is common knowledge that the spirit is the most important foundation of an alchemist. Only with a powerful soul will one possess sufficient spiritual perception and spiritual control. Elder Cheng pointed to the middle of the stone tablet. There was a circular smooth plate there. He said, each of you will insert your spiritual strength into this plate. It will test the value of your spirit. This value is called a soul value by the Pill Tower. As long as one's soul value reaches above 400, one will have passed the test. The highest record during the soul value test of the 5 great clans examination is held by Xiao Yan. Back then, her soul value had reached 976. No one has broken it until now. Elder Cheng's eyes turned to the leader's seat of the Cao clan when he spoke until this point. A black-dressed Xiao Yan was supporting her cheek with one hand at that spot. Her other hand was playing with a round jade bead. Her casual and unconcerned manner did not change just because she had become the focus of the surrounding gazes. Ha ha, since all of you know the rules, let's begin. Who will go first? Elder Cheng withdrew his gaze and smiled as he asked Xiao Yang's group. The 5 of them fell into a silence after Elder Cheng's voice sounded. A moment later, the man called Xiao Ji fro the Xiao clan finally took the lead to step forward. After which, his hand gently touched the stone tablet. Both of his eyes were shut as spiritual strength moved along his hand and surged into it. One could see the smooth mirror plate in the middle of the stone tablet suddenly emit a beeping sound after his spiritual strength was inserted into the stone tablet. After which, the blood-red number on it suddenly soared. This continued for around 10 seconds, before it paused on the number 707 in front of numerous eyes. Xiao Ji finally released his hand after the number stabilized. He glanced at the number on the plate and sighed in relief. This number was already considered high. Some ordinary Tier 7 alchemist would not even be able to reach this number. Xiao Yang by the side fell deep into thought after looking at the number. He was able to sense that this Xiao Ji possessed a great spiritual strength. However, this final value was only 707. From this, he could vaguely sense how terrifying Xiao Ying was. After all, she had far exceeded this number 2 to 3 years ago. He wondered just what level the current her had reached. With this result, Xiao Ji slowly stepped back. After all, this number had far exceeded the passing mark. There was no longer a need for him to be worried about anything. Bai Ying closely followed after Xiao Ji stepped back. He coldly smiled as he glanced at Xiao Yang. Only then did he place his hand on the stone tablet. He inhaled a breath of air before his spiritual strength erupted from him. Beep beep beep. As Bai Ying's spiritual strength continued to pour out, the blood-red number on the plate swiftly began to soar. Within a couple of seconds, it had already reached 700. After which, it continued to beep. It stopped at the value of 785. Some private conversations broke out within the large hall when everyone saw the number on the stone tablet. The faces of the members of the Bai clan were filled with pride. The white-clothed woman, Xiao Yang had met when he was being tested for the tier badge at the branch tower, was currently looking at Bai Ying with a glint in her eyes. After Elder Cheng pressed his hand against the empty air, the conversations within the hall finally began to stop. His eyes turned to Xiao Yang, Dan Xian, and Cao Xiao as he smiled and said, "It's your turn." The 3 of them exchanged glances with one another upon hearing this. That Cao Xiao smiled faintly and said, "Since the both of you choose to be the last, I shall be first to step forward and show my inadequacy." It should be noted that in Chinese culture saying that oneself is incompetent is considered humble, but it should not be taken at face value. After saying this, Cao Xiao walked forward and slowly approached the stone tablet. He touched the tablet before his eyes opened wide and an extremely strong energy surged out of his body like a volcano erupting. After a surge of energy from Cao Xiao's body, one could see the blood-red number on the plate swiftly begin to rise. Within the blink of an eye, it had broken past the 800 mark, and finally came to a slow halt at the value of 846. Some shocked gasps appeared within the large hall as everyone looked at the soul value on the stone tablet. This value could already be considered very good among the Tier 7 middle grade level. "Both of you, it's your turn." Cao Xiao slowly stepped back and spoke after turned his eyes to Dan Xian and Xiao Yang. Dan Xian slightly nodded upon hearing this. He gave Xiao Yang a faint warm smile before slowly stepping forward. Dan Xian had undoubtedly caused a countless number of eyes within the large hall to gather on him the moment he stepped forward. Cao Ying, who had been acting unconcerned, threw her pretty eyes over. Dan Xian was a renowned talent from the Dan clan. Many people knew that Dan Xian would be the successor of the Dan clan in the future. His ability and character caused him to possess such qualifications. Dan Xian stopped in front of the stone tablet in front of the many gazes. His hand was gently placed on the stone tablet, but his face did not reveal the slightest anxiety. Dan Xian's hand touched the stone tablet. He slowly shut his eyes and a majestic spiritual strength slowly surged out of his body. Even his surroundings had vaguely become distorted. This caused some surprise to flash across the eyes of Elder Cheng by the side. His vast and mighty spiritual strength surged into the stone tablet. After which, a quick beeping sound once again resounded over the arena. The blood-red numbers on the plate began to swiftly soar at a speed that caused one's heart to race. Elder Cheng smiled and nodded at this moment. Since Dan Xian was able to reach such a number, it was likely that he would advance to a Tier 7 high-grade alchemist very soon. Moreover, his young age was extremely commendable. In the future, he might even have the qualification to step into the guru realm. Surprise flashed across Cao Ying's pretty eyes from the Cao clan's seats. The corner of her mouth was lifted into a faint arc. This Dan Xian was indeed quite strong. Although he was still a little lacking, he was considered quite outstanding when compared to others of similar age. The gasps of surprise continued for a while before gradually quieting. After which, everyone's eyes gathered onto the final figure. This was the last opportunity for the Yi clan. If Xiao Yan's final number failed to surpass Bai Ying's and enter the top 3, it was likely that the Yi clan would be finished. Yi Zhong's group was also anxiously watching Xiao Yan at this moment. If Xiao Yan failed to enter the top 3 on the first section, there was really no need to continue the subsequent tests. Cao Ying slightly raised her eyes. Her enchanting, pretty eyes stared at Xiao Yan with great interest. She really wanted to know whether this fellow, who had some reputation, had the ability to save the Yi clan, or if he was just acting calm. Xiao Yan slowly inhaled a breath under the focus of all the eyes present. His expression was calm as he slowly stepped forward. After which, his hand gently pressed against the stone tablet. All gazes present gathered on Xiao Yan, who was slowly walking to the stone tablet. The testing of the few people earlier might be eye-catching, but the one everyone was anticipating was still Xiao Yan. This was because he was representing the Yi clan by taking this test. This first test would thus determine the fate of the Yi clan from now on. Whether or not they could stay a member of the 5 great clans would all be determined by this test. Cao Dan's eyes were viciously staring at Xiao Yan's back. The corner of his mouth contained ridicule. If the Yi clan wished to pass this test, they would need to enter the top 3 in every segment. Currently, the first 3 places of this sole test were occupied by Dan Xian, Cao Xiao, and Bai Ying. None of those 3 competitors were ordinary people. Cao Dan did not believe that Xiao Yang really possessed such an ability. Xiao Yang's feet paused in front of the stone tablet, under the focus of all the eyes present. He raised his hand and touched the stone tablet. The stone tablet was ice cold. It was as though he was touching a piece of ice. There was a slight piercing pain from the spot where his hand made contact with its surface. This kind of feeling appeared to penetrate deep into his soul, causing him to feel uncomfortable. Xiao Yang, the Yi clan must enter the top 3 if it wishes to pass this test. Currently, the one ranked 3rd is Bai Ying. His soul value has reached 785. Only if you surpass him will the Yi clan stand a chance. Elder Cheng stared at Xiao Yang from beside the stone talisman. His expression was a little grave as he softly informed Xiao Yang. If the Yi clan were to fail this time around, it was likely that nice words put in on their behalf would not be able to prevent the Yi clan from being eliminated from the 5 great clans. Xiao Yang slowly nodded. He had a better understanding than anyone that he was currently controlling the fate of all the members of the Yi clan in his hands. Both of Xiao Yang's eyes were shut. His entire figure appeared to have instantly become silent. Even his breathing had weakened. Silence covered the interior of the hall. Not the slightest unusual sound appeared. The entire hall appeared to have been covered by a kind of faint pressurizing atmosphere. This kind of silence continued for around half a minute or so. Just when everyone within the hall were looking at each other, an unusually vast and mighty spiritual pressure slowly swept out of the body of the young man in front of the stone tablet, like a large dragon had just awoken. Bang! A deep, muffled sound erupted around Xiao Yang. At the same time, an invisible spiritual storm formed around his body. The space around him had become extremely distorted when this storm was formed. When this storm appeared, Elder Cheng, who was closest to Xiao Yang, had a sudden change of expression. His body hurriedly pulled back, and his eyes stared intensely at the blurry figure within that distorted space. It was not the first time that he had seen such an unusual phenomenon occurring during the test of one's soul value. When Cao Ying had taken the test back then, she had also stirred such an unusual phenomenon. However, when compared to Xiao Yang, it seemed that the spiritual storm of hers back then was a little smaller. Dan Xian, Cao Xiao, Bai Ying, and Qiu Ji in front of the stone tablet also experienced a change in expressions when they saw this unexpected change. They hurriedly took over 10 steps back. At the same time, their eyes were shocked as they stared at that figure, especially Bai Ying. His expression was exceptionally shocked. Never had he expected Xiao Yang to reach such a shocking level. The jade bead rotating in Cao Ying's hand, while she sat on the Cao clan's seat, suddenly paused. Her temptation-filled eyes were focused on that blurry figure in front of the stone tablet. Her face finally revealed a surprised expression. She had actually misjudged this time around. Moreover, she did not expect this young man called Xiao Yang to hide his true ability so deeply. The invisible spiritual storm stirred an uproar throughout the entire hall. It was a while before the storm finally weakened. Around a dozen plus seconds later, it finally completely disappeared. Xiao Yang slowly withdrew the hand in contact with the stone tablet after the spiritual storm scattered. After which, he turned his eyes to the plate in the middle of the stone tablet, at the same time as everyone else. 1395. The blood-red number remained on the plate in a startling manner. That number caused the entire place to turn dead silent. Many eyes seemed to have solidified as they remained on the number without being able to shift away. The silence continued in the large hall for a moment before it was broken by numerous sounds of cold air being inhaled. Many eyes contained shock that was difficult to hide as they looked at the somewhat skinny back of the figure in front of the stone tablet. 1395. This number was more than 300 points greater than the record Cao Ying had set back then. When Cao Ying had broken the record for the first time back then, she had been bestowed the title of witch, yet Xiao Yang had currently broken the record that she had left behind. Moreover, he had even tossed the record far behind him. This result was really shocking. Cao Ying's eyes were also startled when she saw the blood-red number. Her eyes immediately landed on Xiao Yang with some interest. She softly laughed. Interesting, this Central Plains region does indeed have many hidden talents. I have never discovered someone like this in the past. Looks like the pill gathering will be extremely interesting this time around. Cao Dan, who was behind her, also stared at the stone tablet in a stunned manner. He only recovered a moment later. A jealousy inevitably flashed across his eyes when he heard the admiration and high regard suggested in Cao Ying's tone. He clearly understood Cao Ying's character. One could count the number of people from the same generation whom this extremely cold woman viewed seriously with one's hands. Moreover, he clearly understood that he had yet to attain that qualification. However, that Xiao Yang, whom he had mocked a couple of times, had reached this stage ahead of him. This was a blow that caused him to feel extremely terrible. Elder Cheng by the side of the stone tablet was startled as he looked at the blood-red number. A moment later, he finally nodded. After which, his eyes looking at Xiao Yang had become unusually hot. 1395. Other people might not be certain about what this number represented, but he clearly understood it. This represented that Xiao Yang's spiritual strength had already reached the Tier 7 high-grade level. Moreover, the most precious thing of all was Xiao Yang's age. By being able to reach the Tier 7 high-grade level at such an age, it was likely that only Cao Ying among the younger generation could compare to him. In other words, the Pill Tower had discovered another demon-like genius after Cao Ying. Of course, Elder Cheng would naturally not think that Xiao Yang could really stand shoulder to shoulder with Cao Ying. After all, that record was something that Cao Ying had created 2 to 3 years ago. Today, it was likely that she had already reached an even more terrifying level. Xiao Yang's age was similar to hers. If one were to really compare them, it was likely that Cao Ying was a little better. This was indeed the case based on common sense. However, how would he know that this current number was not Xiao Yang's full strength? One should always hold a little back in everything one does, leave oneself with some room to form tactics. Xiao Yang was used to doing this. Moreover, creating this result was also something that was beyond Xiao Yang's expectation. Although Xiao Yang did not anticipate it, he was able to understand why his soul value was this high. This was related to the spiritual aura within his soul. Although spiritual aura did not possess the great might of Do Qi, it appeared to be able to cause the value of one's soul to be raised. If one alchemist had spiritual aura and another did not, the result of the test would definitely be vastly different even if they were of the same tier. Xiao Yan had quietly suppressed the spiritual storm when it had appeared earlier and prevented his spiritual strength from completely erupting. Ultimately, he believed that holding something back would provide him with the greatest guarantee of security. Ha ha, not bad, not bad. Elder Cheng fondled his beard and laughed. From the looks of it, he appeared extremely excited. If he were to report this matter to the top, it was likely going to stir quite a large commotion. The soul test will end here. The person ranked first is naturally Xiao Yang, who represents the Yi clan. Additionally, I will also congratulate him for breaking the record. It is likely that this record of his will not be broken in any test for a very long period of time in the future. Everyone in the hall quietly let out a bitter laugh upon hearing Elder Cheng's voice. This Yi clan was indeed like a 100-foot worm that refused to buckle. Even in a life and death situation, they were able to find such a terrifying helper. From Xiao Yang's performance, it was likely not going to be a problem for Xiao Yang to enter the top 3 in the 2 subsequent tests. As long as they passed this test, the Yi clan would once again possess the strength to survive. Next will be the last 2 sections of the test. Once these 2 sections are over, the final result for this season's 5 Great Clan test will appear. Elder Cheng smiled at Xiao Yang. His smile was filled with an additional earnestness and friendliness. He was undoubtedly much warmer when compared to his indifferent self earlier. Xiao Yang also smiled in response to Elder Cheng's friendliness. He took 2 steps back, only to sense a gaze that caused his soul to feel a little fear. He turned his head, and his eyes collided with the black-clothed lady in the leader's seat of the Cao clan. The corner of Cao Ying's mouth was lifted into a slight arc that was filled with temptation when she saw Xiao Yang shoot his eyes over. A bewitching aura spread all over the place, causing her to appear like a beautiful demon spirit that had descended into the mortal realm. A cautiousness quietly rose within Xiao Yang's heart in the face of the fearless demonic temptation of this demon spirit. The next test is called spiritual control. Elder Cheng smiled as he looked over the candidates. After which, he took out a dark black metal bead from his storage ring. The surface of the metal bead was extremely smooth. Moreover, it did not contain the slightest luster. The complete black color gave it a kind of heaviness. This is a bead that has been formed from spiritual metal. It is called soul testing bead. If this thing is held by a hand, it will appear extremely light. However, it will appear extremely heavy to one's soul. When this spiritual control test begins, many of these soul testing beads will scatter down from the ceiling. You are required not to use any Do Qi. Instead, you will use your spiritual strength alone to support them. The one who takes the most soul testing beads will be in the top segment of this test. The ranks will be determined based on the number of beads received. Elder Cheng took a glance at Cao Ying when he spoke until this point. After which, his eyes turned to Xiao Yang. He smiled and said, the record of this test of one's spiritual control is also set by Cao Ying. Back then, she had picked up 89 beads. This record has yet to be broken even now. The numerous eyes from around the hall immediately gathered on Xiao Yang when they heard Elder Cheng's words. They really wanted to know whether this young person called Xiao Yang would be able to break all of the records left by Cao Ying back then. HMPH, these fellows really overestimate this person. Earlier, it must have been his good luck that allowed him to get that kind of result. The corner of Cao Dan's mouth trembled as he let out a cold snort. Cao Ying glanced at him and casually said, this Xiao Yang is indeed someone with ability, and he does not rely on good luck. I really wish to see just what kind of result he will obtain during the spiritual control test. The magnitude of the soul value represented whether the spiritual strength of an alchemist was strong. However, a true alchemist did not merely just look at the strength of their soul. If one wanted to refine a high-tier medicinal pill, one would require an exceptionally agile and high degree of control over their spiritual strength. Otherwise, it would end up being similar to using a large hammer to smash an egg. There was plenty of strength, but the egg would also turn into smithereens. Only a person with a powerful spiritual strength and extremely familiar with his spiritual control could truly be called an alchemist. How is it? Are you ready? Elder Cheng smiled at Xiao Yang's group and inquired. The group slowly nodded upon hearing his question. Their spiritual strength slowly bubbled from the spot between their eyebrows, ready to erupt anytime. I shall first remind everyone. Do not possess the vain hope of completely receiving all of them in one go. Scattering your spiritual strength is an extremely foolish act in this kind of test. Elder Cheng seriously reminded. After which, he turned around and quickly moved away. At the same time, densely packed, dark black holes were revealed in the ceiling. A moment later, dark black metal beads poured down from the ceiling like a storm. Xiao Yan's group began to reflexively dodge them as they looked at the soul-testing beads that came pouring down like a storm. After which, they maintained a distance from each other while a thought passed through their hearts. Vast and mighty spiritual strengths poured out from between their eyebrows. Due to the reminder of Elder Cheng earlier, Xiao Yan did not scatter his spiritual strength into a net shape. Instead, he gathered it into an invisible hand that grabbed the densely packed, dark black soul-testing beads with lightning-like speed. Of course, perhaps using the word here was more appropriate, because the large, invisible hand did not randomly grab around. Instead, it found its target before two invisible fingers quickly rushed out. After which, the bead would steadily be pincered between two spiritual fingers. It is indeed very heavy. Part 1 end here.